Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all keeping well out there in YouTube land. Quite a pleasant day today. A bit on the cool side, but it's not raining, thank the Lord. No sun though, but we're all doing well. Right, who have I got in the day? I've only got Mark in today. I'll just bring him in for a quick hello. And
Hi,
there he is. So Mark's in, he's going to be keeping us up to date with what's going on in the chat, and I will just give you a view of what we're doing. There you go. So what we've got on the lathe today is a nice piece of ash. I've still got quite a lot of ash to turn, so I thought I'd put another piece on today. Nice piece of ash. It's about 12 inches diameter. It's around about 4 inches deep. It's going to be a fairly basic bowl, but I might do some embellishing on there. I might do some burning. I might do some texturing. We'll wait and see what happens. Just put a different tool rest on because I forgot to do that. And while I'm chatting away, Mark can let us know who we've got in.
Well, indeed. Right. I'm not going to use the participants list. I'm just going to go from the top and work my way down.
Let's see what that's spinning. How much? Right, I'll get the speed up.
Right, so first in was Wood Wizardry by Colin. We've got Lawrence Brigager, Leroy 500, Barry Fisher, Gerald the French Turner, Rex B, Mike the Midnight Joker, Chris Dodds, Peter Lake, Kevin Howell, Robert Elliott, Dr. Bob. Hi, Dr. Bob. Andy H is returning. Fred Gilliver. Going down the list. Pete from Twisted Trees. Ian Leonard. Jennifer Stroughton from Jennifer's Craft and Creations. Good invasion last night, Jennifer. Well done.
Yeah, it was very good, Jennifer.
Barry Fisher, did I say Barry? Duncan the Demon Barber. Robert Dolman. Karen Dolman. Hi, Karen. Douglas Mungham. Steve Fleming. James Cassidy. Robert from Hodgepodge Woodworks. Sidley 61. Brian at Hotwood Turning. And I think I'm at the bottom of the list. Yep, that's everyone so far.
Grand. So, like I said, it's ash that I'm doing today. I've just rounded it off. I'm just squaring off the bottom. I'm turning it around about 850 just over. Main tools I'm using today, I'm using my Robert Sorby 3/8 titanium coated bowl gouge with a fingernail grind on there. And I'll also be using my Robert Sorby 1/4 inch bowl gouge, which has also got a fingernail grind on. So I'm just going to get set up for putting the mortise in. So I'm going to slightly dish the bottom of this, very slightly.
Trevor P, Hobby Woodturner's in as well.
Good afternoon.
And Brent Beecroft. Steve Ellis.
And then get my calibers. I've got the calibers set to around about 70 mil because I'm using the C jaws on my Axminster chuck. So the optimal size for the C jaws is around about 70 mil, 69, 70 mil. And then I'll use my 1/4 inch ball gouge just to clear out where the mortise is.
Seth from Brickhouse Craftworks has joined. Remember, folks, if you've got a question, just start it with a couple of Q's, or all hail the wood Jedi, or oi you. Anything will
Or
do.
you.
Oi you. That usually works. But if I do miss it, it's not on purpose. Just type it out again and I'll try and spot it. And we've got a couple of things to remind you of at halfway. So if either Wayne or I forget, can somebody at about 1/2 go, "Oh, you, can you remind us about the stuff that you need reminding about?" Thank you.
Right, what I've got here is a small tool that I've made up purely for doing the mortise part, or the what's the word I'm looking for? Forgetting the word I'm looking for now.
Dovetail.
The dovetail part of the mortise.
Peter Lake says he's just had a delivery from Joe Sonia's of iridescent paints.
Excellent, nice one.
Have fun playing with that.
I'll stick a bit of texture decoration in here. Move the tool rest back so I can get in with my Sorby texturing tool. And that's the Sorby texturing tool that I'm using. For doing this, whenever you're going to be using the Sorby texturing tool, ideal speed is around about 500 or just under. You want to have the tool set up so that the tool is level with the center height. And now these do come, when you buy these, they do come with like a steady on that you can alter the angle on, but then you've got to fasten it down. I don't tend to use that because I like to be able to just change the angle as and when I want to.
Question for you from Rex B.
Yeah.
What is the safe depths for a tenon? Are there different depths for safety?
Right, I tend to use, yeah, that's not too bad. What I'll just explain what I'm doing here, Rex, and I'll get back to you. I'm going to put a couple of highlights in here so it actually highlights the different textures that I've done. So I'm just going to use a diamond point carbide for doing that. Let's just get that set so it's going to be right there. And just check the next one, which is going to be right there. That's that done. So let's just put a bit of texture in there. What I do right now, if you set up the mortise to the correct size, I've explained this before on jaws. I'll just explain it again. I'll just take this piece of wood out of these jaws.
Harry McDill's in.
Hi, Harry. Right, now what happens is when the manufacturers make the jaws up, it's all made up of one piece. They then cut it into 4. So you've got some curve coming out of all these areas. So when you've got the chuck closed all the way down, you can't really see that very well, but that's not a proper circle, okay? So when you're expanding out, when you've got it closed all the way down, it's only hitting on the 4 points where it's being cut. Whereas if you open it up so it's too wide, Again, it's not a circle, so the only places that you're holding are right on the edges of the solid parts there. That's the only places you're holding. So you need to get it to an optimal distance, which is just over opening, and that should be a proper circle there. So you're actually holding all the way around the jaw. Now, the optimal size on the jaws that I've got, like I said, the optimal size is around about 69, 70 mil. Excuse me. So if you have the opening of the mortise at around about 69, 70 mil, you don't actually have to have a lot of depth. Now, the depth I've got on there is around about 3 mil. So I've got about 3 mil there. In old money, that's about 1/8 of an inch. So that's what I've got in there. So that's the mortise done, bit of decoration in the bottom done, and I'll now get on to shaping the bowl.
Kevin Newman's in.
Oh, hi,
And
Kev.
Martin at Woody's Creations is in as well.
Martin. Right, I've turned the speed up. I'm now just over about 930. I'm turning that here. So I'm using on this, I'll end up doing a push cut when I do my final cut. But at the moment, I'm doing a bit of a pull cut, although the bevel is still touching. So I'm putting the tool on. And as you can see, the handle is way, way down. It's hitting on the bevel, and then I'm turning the tool round. And that's me started the cut. Something just fell on the floor there.
And anybody that watches me, you can see where I get it from, because that's how I do it.
You can remove a hell of a lot, as long as you've got a decent powered lathe. Something fell on the floor there and it's gone underneath all the bloody shavings. Oh.
Pete's come up with a good demo idea. Has Wayne got an elastic band handy? If you put the elastic band on the jaws and open the jaws, you can see as the circle forms with the elastic band.
I don't have an elastic band here.
Douglas Mungham's got a question.
Yeah.
All hail the Witch and I. If I did not want to do long spindle turning, would a graduate short bed or a Denford Viceroy TDS 6S be a good lathe?
Yes, definitely. Both of them. The thing you've got to watch for now, the graduate has got a 1.5 by 6 spindle, 1.5 inch by 6 threads to the inch spindle. It used to be quite a common spindle thread size. The Viceroy has got quite an unusual spindle thread size on it. So that can be a bit more difficult to locate for getting a chuck. That's the only provision I'd give on either of those lathes.
Circular Wood by Keith has joined. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
Brian Anderson has joined. Doug Miller's in.
Doug, Brian.
70 watching, mate. It's a lovely cut, that, isn't it? It can really shift a lot of timber.
Oh, it can. But like I say, it all depends on the on what size motor you've got on.
Yeah.
Right, now, the bed bars of the lathe are getting in the way now when I'm coming further in towards the center of the bottom. So I'm going to have to change the cut now and start doing a push cut. And I'm just going to round over the top a little bit. Move the tool rest again.
Trevor P's asking, with such a shallow mortise, do you find that the wood splits out?
No, that's
No.
the thing about, because this is on it's on side grain, so you've got less chance of the mortar splitting out when it's on side grain. Somebody was asking in one of the Facebook groups the other day about using a mortise for doing spindle work. I would never use a mortise for doing spindle work because it will break out. Unless it was a huge spindle I was doing.
Steve Scott's in. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Steve. That's nice. Not bad shape bowl. I'll just do a little bit more on the bottom. The other thing is as well is people ask about either the foot size or how much you leave on the bottom. General rule of thumb is that the foot size should be around about 1/3 of the whole diameter. That changes. That's for doing sort of functional type things. That changes when you're doing decorative stuff. You can take the foot all the way down to whatever you want, really.
Chris Cox and Ronnie Uchbo are in.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
I'm just going to feather that out to join in with the curve I've already got there. And I'm having a check on the curve. I've got a wee bit of a bump there, but I'm still just going to do a final finishing cut now. And I'm going to use my 1/4 inch bowl gouge. I'm going to try and set up the tool rest so it's right in the center. Right in the center, around about there, or round about here, if you can see that better. Because what I try to do when I'm doing a finish cut, I try to get the cut done all in a oneer. And it's quite a thin cut, this one is, and I'm not going to be able to do that.
Just before you do that, Wayne, Douglas Mungham's asking, of the 2 lathes that he mentioned, which would you choose if you had the choice?
Right, I'd go for the graduate, but I'd be looking for a graduate that has already had the electronic speed control put onto it. And I'd also be looking at, as well as the electronic speed, I'd also be looking to see if they'd upgraded the motor, because I think the original graduates were quite underpowered. The other thing you've got to think of, Douglas, when you're talking about graduates, is actually how tall you are. Because, hang on, I'll come back on main screen here. Right. The thing is, with the graduates, a lot of graduates were produced for schools, so they're quite short. And a lot of people who buy graduates, they've got to actually put some risers on the floor for putting the lathe onto. Because ideally, what you want to have is, when you're standing at the lathe, you want your spindle height, the center of the spindle height, to be around about elbow height when you're standing up straight with your arm down straight. General rule of thumb, that's the ideal height for having your lathe at. Some people prefer having the spindle a bit higher. Some people prefer having the spindle a bit lower. If you have the spindle lower, you're going to end up getting a saw back. If you watch Emma, the tiny turner, she's got her spindle, I'm sure it's up around here somewhere. Her spindle is to when she turns.
Robin Thorogood's in. Hi, Robin.
Good afternoon. Right, let's see how I do with this final cut. Right, I'm just rubbing the bevel on first, and then I'm going to bring the handle back towards me until I get the cut. I'm just getting the cut there. So here we go. Now I am going to have to stop this cut around about halfway through so I can move the tool rest. And I'll just do that there. And what you want to do is try and pick up the cut so you're not leaving any ridges. So I've just picked up the cut just before where I'd stopped.
Mark Stroughton's in. Hi, Mark.
Hiya, Mark. Had your coffee yet?
Coffee for one upstairs, please.
And there we go. Now, I'm not actually happy. I'm happy with this curve here. I'm not happy with this here. It's coming across flat and then starting on a curve. So I'm going to refine that a wee bit. Have another look at that. That's looking a wee bit better.
Hi, Trouble's here. DIY Dark Matter's in the house.
Dark man!
He says, put a stem
How's
on
it
that.
going?
Put a stem on that, Wayne. It's a perfect wine glass.
Right, so there we go. Oh, I've got a bit of a ridge there. Have to get rid of that. Look at that. You see you're doing a final cut and you do 3 more.
Tournage de Bois in.
Hey, Daniel.
Flicks Wood Turning's in. And you had a super chat from JP Woodwork. He says, I know you're not happy. More dopey.
Jamie's
Hi,
not in the
JP.
chat. Jamie's not in the chat. Well, he is in the chat, but he's not here worming because he's been away getting these COVID jag. Right. I'll give it a sand and see how it looks after the sand and decide then whether I'm going to put any embellishment on the likes of any I think I'll just do texture and I don't think I'll burn it.
Darkman says, so this is where all the sexy people are this morning.
Well, just me, Doc.
Damn right.
I don't know about the rest of them.
Somebody's already asked Dark Matter how his mother-in-law is. Don't you set him off.
Right, I'm uncertain on what to do with this, tell you the truth. I'm just going to leave it plain. There you go. Just a nice plain bowl today.
Douglas Mungham says, "Oi, remember you have to tell us something."
Oh, is it that time already?
25 past. He's 4 minutes early. Wait till you turn it round. Put it on the remount it, and then we'll do it.
Okay.
Keeps them guessing.
All right. Brush. I'll just get rid of some of this dust out of the mortise.
Martin at Woody's Creations is a lone voice in the woods, saying, "Burn it, colour it, texture it."
I'll maybe put some texture on the rim. Now, what I'm using at the moment is Chestnut Products cellulose sand and sealer out of a can. You don't have to use this. You can use whatever sand and sealer you like. It all does the same job. And basically what it does is stick down the grain so when it gets knocked back, it lifts up the grain, so when it gets knocked back, that knocks off all the loose grain that's been lifted up. But I'm going to be using Yorkshire grit. So what I tend to do, now cellulose sand and sealer does dry fairly quick, so I just tend to wipe the excess off. Now if I wasn't using Yorkshire grit, what I would do is knock this back with some of the one of the Webrax pads, just to knock back the excess of the sand and sealer. But I'm using Yorkshire grit, so I don't really have to do that because Yorkshire grit is an abrasive, and that will do the job.
Benjamin's in. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
And JP Woodwork's giving you another super chat saying, "Wayne can buy Mr. Stroughton some flavoured coffee."
You're joking, man.
As long as it's coffee flavoured coffee.
But yeah, coffee flavoured coffee's fine. Right, so I'm putting the grit on, obviously, when the lathe is stationary. Mind you, it's a stupid thing to say that because I'm actually turning the lathe by hand. But you know what I mean.
Rex B's got a question.
Yeah.
When you apply sand and sealer, then knock it off with sandpaper, do you need to apply it again to make a good base for paint or finish?
No. What you need to do, though, if you're going to knock it back with abrasive paper, use the same level of grit as what you did the final sanding with, or even a finer grit. Right, I'm going to turn the speed down to around about 250 and then start using the Yorkshire grit. I'm using the same piece of paper that I used to put it on with, and you just start rubbing it in. And as you rub it in, the abrasive, which is in the grit, which is rotten stone. I'm going to have a look, see if he uses anything else. Rotten stone and pumice. That starts breaking down. So you finish your sanding at 240. Some people do go to 320, but usually you finish your sanding at 240. Do your sand and sealer, do the grit, and once you're finished on the grit, you'll have a finish equivalent to around about 1,000 grit. Now this initial stage here, spend a couple of minutes on, because that gets the grit working properly. And then you can turn the speed up, use a clean piece of paper and carry on working it in. And what you do is you keep on working it in, changing the paper after every pass until the paper comes away clean. And once the paper comes away clean, that shows that the grit has done its job.
Andy H is for Turnings opened his YouTube channel yesterday. He's already got 16 subscribers. So I've just put the link in the chat. Pop over and have a look. Give the guy a sub.
Nearly finished this. I'm just going to finish this off with quickly finish it off with an initial coat of microcrystalline wax. Give that a quick buff just for now.
Ben says, I've noticed that some people really do apply a lot of Yorkshire grit. Mark, Funnel Steve, Brian, Funnel Steve, and others apply very little. Hard to tell how much Wayne applies. He applies enough. That's the right amount. Enough is the right amount.
What you don't want to have is too much on there that you're taking an absolute age to get it used. But again, you don't want to apply too little that it's not actually doing the job. Right, there we are, turned round.
Go on,
ready to go on the inside.
What have you got to remind people of?
Right. Pete, Twisted Trees, has got a premiere this afternoon, which I believe is at 3 o'clock. So we'll pop over and watch that. I'm just over 80 away from 3,500 subs. And at 3,500 subs, I'm going to do a giveaway. And it's going to be, the giveaway will be, I'll do a live, and whatever I do on the live, that'll be the giveaway. And then it'll get drawn, I don't know, maybe a fortnight later to give people a chance to put a comment in and stuff like that. So that's the two things. So please give me a shout out to your friends, family, colleagues. Ask them to go across and sub to the channel. It'll give everybody a chance to get a giveaway.
There's the link for Pete's premiere at 3 o'clock today. JP says he's 2,228 from 10k and he'll be doing his next giveaway. Show off.
Yeah, show off.
Gerard the French Turner has got a question.
Yeah.
He's turning a monkey puzzle ball. Can he use sanding sealer, then lemon oil?
Yes. What you find is, though, when you use sand and sealer, any oils that you're using over the top of sand and sealer might not penetrate as far. That's the only thing. But yes, you can use lemon oil over the top.
Then he's got a second part of the question. How long to leave dry? Then can I finish with wax?
Right, hang on a second.
And Rob CP's in. Hi, Rob.
Lemon oil dries in around about 24 hours. I'm sure that's what it says on the tin. Bear with me. Yeah, 24 hours.
JP, I'm not even sure I'm going to read that out.
What's he saying now?
All hail, the wood Jedi. Why do you use gouges and not real wood turning tools?
Right. Now, the thing is with JP and me, now I moved on from traditional tools because traditional tools, when I started turning, were high carbon steel. So I moved on from high carbon steel to high speed steel. So really, my traditional tools are either high carbon steel or high speed steel. Jamie started turning in the age of carbide. So Jamie uses carbide a hell of a lot. So his traditional tools are carbides. And I can live with that. Right, I'll put some, I'm leaving this bowl fairly chunky. So I'm going to put some texture on the top. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Paul Smith is in. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Paul. And I'll get the cleaning the inside of the bowl out now. It has got a bit of a undercut, so I'll get that sorted first. Turn that speed up.
Malcolm Douglas is in as well. Hi, Malcolm. Wood Wizardry by Colin has been patiently trying to get rid of a jar of gingerbread cookie flavored coffee, and no, he's got no takers.
Hey, there's always the bin.
Yeah. I'm actually tempted to say I'll take it because I quite like gingerbread coffee.
And you called me a heathen the other day.
Dark man, I know you've asked a question, but I'm having difficulty reading it. I can't understand the words. They're just gibberish.
Who was that?
DIY Dark. It's asked me a question. I just can't make it out. It's like I've lost the ability to read.
I'll just get rid of this bit in the center, then I can move my tool rest in.
Dark says, love you too, Mark. I wouldn't go that far. I haven't had any vodka. Christ's sake, it's only 1 o'clock here. I Love Wood Turning says, one day, Mark, I'll ask you one-to-one about how this dancing pole originated, as I've missed the context, I think. Yes, you have. It's a sad and tragic story. It involves lots of vodka and being in a hangout when you're drunk.
Yeah. It initially involved Mark being in a, doing the, what do you call it, on Steve's quiz night?
Battle of the Makers.
Yeah, but he was drinking vodka. And then a bit later on in the evening, we were having a chat in one of the chat rooms, a good bunch of us, by which time Mark was quite inebriated. And the subject of pole dancing came up, and that's when Mark let fly with he's going to start pole dancing.
Allegedly. I have no memory of this conversation.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it didn't happen, though.
Shut up, you. Get on with your bowl.
Right. You might notice when I go from the outside here down to the centre, I don't go in a straight line. I start off with the handle of the gouge again, quite well down. I've got the flute sitting. If you say the flute there is at 12 o'clock, I've got the flute sitting at around about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and I'm making the cut. But then I'm going up in an arc above centre, and then I'll come back down and finish off on centre.
Radar, the wood turner's in. Hi, Radar. And you've got AT watching, Wayne.
Excellent.
Yes, Hodgepodge. He says, oi, was the announcement made? And was it about Wayne's giveaway? Yes, it was.
Oops.
And it was also about Pete from Twisted Trees premiere at 3 o'clock. Exactly, Gerard. I totally agree. Mark's got a real question for you, Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne, you've been on YouTube a long time, buddy. Do you have a favourite comment or story about a comment from over the years?
Oh, not really. None that I can think of.
Gerard's got a question. Can you wax over lemon oil?
Yes, you can. Leave it to dry for about 24 hours, and then you can wax over the top.
Oh, don't you bloody start, mister. You. Catching the nib in the middle.
Right, I just need a bit more cleaned out here. I've never even tried to do that. You mean like that?
Oh, it's just. Oh, I'll make you pay for this one day.
See, I wouldn't even try that if you hadn't mentioned it.
Somebody in the chat mentioned it. That's why I did.
All right.
Right.
I hit the edge of the.
Steve Scott's got a question. That cut where you go up high and then drop down to the center again, does that help with the transition?
It does help with the transition. It helps a hell of a lot, and it can. Some people can go in straight all the way along, and then the end of they find that they might start getting catches. The other thing to do is when you're doing the bottom of the bowl is try and get the tool rest in as close as you can, and also, if need be, down a bit. Oh, I'm on the tailstock one. If need be, use a traditional English grind on your gouge. So it doesn't have swept back wings, or they're not swept back very much. And that actually helps when you're cutting across the bottom of a bowl. I've got a little bit more to do there, so I'll just show that cut. So I'm still, I'm still starting above center.
There's the link for Flick's channel, by the way, people.
But then I'm just going down, drop that one. Right, I'm going to go back to my fingernail gouge because I've got just a little bit of a ridge just there, which I want to get rid of.
Oh, it seems everybody's able to catch the little nib in the middle now. All right. I'm the only one that can't.
Just want to clean this edge up because I did get a catch. No, still a bit there.
Steve Ash Lerner Turner says, Wayne, I'm going to be attempting a hollow torus. Any advice?
Oh, who have I seen doing the hollow toruses?
Andy Phillips done one, hasn't he? And Oliver
I've
Gomez.
never actually done one, to tell you the truth. So
Olivier Gomez.
I couldn't give a hell of a lot of advice on that. Right, just quickly get this sanded now. Starting off at 80. I'm not going to bother sanding the rim. I'll maybe just give that a quick rub over with some web racks just to take the furry bits off. But I'm not going to sand the rim. I wanted to leave it textured. Now, when I'm doing drilly, I always start from the center and I come back towards me. And obviously the wood is spinning this way. So when if you are using the drill, always have the handle of the drill down. It's the same if you're using an inertia sander as well. If you're working back towards yourself, if you have the drill up like that, it's going to catch the end of the sanding arbor and probably rip it apart. The other thing as well is that a lot of people, if they are using power sanding to do anything, especially with an undercut rim, you can leave a few tool marks just on the inside if you can't get in properly with the sanding arbor. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going in there hand sanding, and there's nothing wrong with keeping the bowl stationary, maybe putting the spindle lock in and actually sanding that bit just with the drill going around. But I should be able to get rid of that anyway. That's 80. Now we'll go on to 120.
Benjamin says, "Oh, you use a scraper, Wayne."
I'm not keen on scrapers. Now, don't get me wrong. A hell of a lot of people these days do use scrapers, especially negative rake scrapers. I know Mark uses his negative rake scraper a lot. I'm just not keen. It's not the way that I was taught to turn. Basically, when I was taught to turn using a bowl gouge, even using a spindle gouge, you went with the finish that you got from the gouge. Now you can use, obviously I have used scrapers in the past, and you use scrapers in different orientations to get a nice finishing cut. Like on the inside of the bowl here, to get a nice finish on the inside of the bowl using a scraper, you would probably use a shear cut or a negative rake scraper, one of the two.
Dennis Beamish has just joined. Hi, Dennis.
I know Mike uses a scraper a lot as well for doing his finishing cuts. Nothing wrong with it. It's just something that I've never been keen on, and it's not the way that I was taught. I'm just going to use a piece of purple web racks here, just on the textured bit.
Douglas Mangham's asking, could you use a carbide hollowing tool?
What, as a scraper?
Yeah. I think that's what he means.
If you're talking about right now, compared to what Jamie uses, this is a cheap set of carbides, but you could use the round one, tilted over a bit so it's at 45 degrees. I probably wouldn't recommend using a, where are they? Can't find it. I wouldn't recommend trying to use a cupped one to do a finishing cut, because they can be quite aggressive and you're probably going to end up ruining the piece. What am I doing now?
He meant to undercut the lip.
Oh, yeah. To undercut the lip you could, yeah. No problem whatsoever.
No, Chris, there's no corner rule on a Friday. It's very laid back on a Friday. Come and go as you please. But obviously stay and watch once you're here.
Right, again, that was cellulose sanding sealer. And I'm just going to do the Yorkshire grit. I am going to try Yorkshire grit on the rim. Although it is textured, so I might end up tearing the paper, but we will see.
Drop your mic a little bit. Wait.
There you go. Turn the speed down again. Down to 250 again. Start working the grit in. It doesn't really matter which direction you go when you're doing this. All you're doing is working in the grit, letting the abrasive do its work.
Pete says, well relaxed to a point, Mark. Dinner jackets are still expected on a Friday lunchtime. Well, that goes without saying. I do hope you're all properly attired. Good question from Dark. Really good question. Wayne, if you could only have one tool to work with for the rest of your days, what one would it be and why?
Half-inch ball gouge. It would be a half-inch ball gouge or a 3/8 ball gouge. Because you can do a hell of a lot with the 3/8 ball gouge. Yeah, I'll go with the 3/8 ball gouge because it's so adaptable. I can change the profile, I can change the bevel to adapt it for what I want to use. I can use it for roughing down spindles. I can use it for turning bowls. I can use it for even for proper spindle work. I can use the 3/8 ball gouge. It is, I believe, one of the best gouges out there, the 3/8. Now, again, when I'm talking 3/8, in England, we measure the gouges across the flute. So this is a 3/8 ball gouge in England. In America, you measure the ball gouges across the diameter of the bar. So in America, this would be a half-inch ball gouge. But in England, it's a 3/8 ball gouge.
Malcolm Douglas has asked, does Wayne have some sort of mesh in his Yorkshire grit container? If so, why?
Right. That's called a product saver. It was developed and made by Steve Trudell of Temple Boy Turnings. He is still selling them, I believe. I got in touch with him last week because somebody was asking about this. Now, what it is, it fits in the container, and if, like some people do, they don't put the lid back on and just leave it lying about, it can fall on the floor. Now, if you don't have the saver in there, what happens is that all of your Yorkshire grit gets covered in shavings and you end up losing a hell of a lot. Whereas with the saver in place, I'll just show you, I'll see if I can pop this out.
Gerard says, yes, he's still doing them. He got 2 of them from him yesterday.
Grand. With the saver in place, if you tip this on the ground and it falls sort of face down type thing, it's only going to be the grit on the top of the saver that gets wasted. You can wipe it clean and then pop it back in and start using it again.
Barry's in the shed, is in. Hi, Barry.
Hey, Barry. Right, again, I'm going to finish off the inside of this with some... Oh, before I do that, I've just noticed I've got some paper towel within the texture here, so I'm using a stiff bristled brush just to see if I can get rid of that. Yep, that got rid of that. So I'll put some microcrystalline wax on because that's what I'm using today. Just quickly go over this around the rim as well. I might end up getting paper stuck in the texture again, but it should be able to get cleaned out fairly easily. Give that a quick buff.
Kevin Howell says, a few weeks ago I asked you, learned gentleman, for advice on converting my Myford ML8 to variable speed. Someone suggested Newton Tesla, and my conversion is complete. Fantastic.
Excellent. Good.
Well done. And Steve Cassidy says, the exception to the English gouge sizes are the crown double-end gouges. Ordered a 3/8 one from Axminster, and it was 3/8 across the bar. Really?
That's weird.
I've got a 3/8 crown double-ended bowl gouge. It's 3/8 across the flute.
Right. That's my double-ended ball gouge. That's classed as a 1/2 inch ball gouge, and it's 1/2 inch across the flute. It's 5/8 across the bar. How are we doing on time?
Hour and 1 minute.
That's me done. Just change camera. That one will come on, and it does. So there you go, guys. Nice. That bit you can see there, round there, that's not a crack. That's part of the grain. So a nice 12-inch by about 4-inch everyday use bowl.
Beautiful.
Wee bit of texture over the rim there, just to give it something a bit different, and a bit of texture in the bottom mortise as well, just to give it a bit of decoration. So that's it.
Piece of ash, Brent.
Yeah, it's ash. It has, you can see a bit of colour difference there. That's the sapwood, which is lighter, and yeah, that's the heartwood. The darker wood here is the heartwood. So there you go. I hope you all enjoyed that. I brought Mark in by himself today because I thought I'd do a not really instructional one, but a bit more of an explanation as to how I do things, how I use the gouges and everything, and the finishes and the Yorkshire grit. So it gives us a bit more chance for that. It's given people more chance to have to ask some questions, which I hope I answered okay. Apart from the Taurus, I've never done a Taurus, so I wouldn't be able to help you with that one, I'm afraid.
Cool. Yeah, it's been good.
And
really good.
Thanks for all the comments, guys. Right, I'm going to end it there. Remember, Peter Twisted Trees has got a premiere at 3 o'clock GMT. Tonight, I think there'll be a couple of premieres on. Ruben usually has a premiere about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Nick has a premiere about 7:30. Steve SK Crafts will be live at 7:45. I may well be eWorming. Mark may well be eWorming as well. Haven't had an invite yet, mind, but oh yeah, he obviously is at work. Stace Makes is on live at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we will have Ed on. Rob CP's back at lunchtime, I believe. Be nice to see him back. Tomorrow night, Nick's on at 8 o'clock. Sunday,
Steve again.
Steve at 1 o'clock. I know there's another couple of people coming this Sunday afternoon.
Hodgepodge is live tomorrow as well.
All right, okay. And Sunday evening, we've got Mike back on. Mike Waltz back on. He's doing either a 2 or 3-parter, doing a bit of a large hollow form, which he said I could do faster than him, which I probably could.
And you've got a premiere at 8:30 Sunday night.
I've got a premiere at 8:30 Sunday night. We've got Makers International podcast at 9:30 Sunday night. JP Woodworks has got a premiere at 11, and Caitlin the Cat will have a premiere at 11:30.
Tournage de Bois and Hodgepodge both have premieres on Sunday afternoon, evening as well.
Excellent. Hodge is on it at 10 o'clock, Rob's saying. Grand. Okay, guys. Then we're back to Monday and it's me again at lunchtime. Right, I'm going to press the button now. So take care for the rest of the day, guys. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for
everyone.
now.